Hello everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. I wanted to show you guys a video. This is going to be sped up, so just to make it easier, if you've been having some issues lately with your router, your wireless router, whatever you're going to call it, which mine is from 3. I'm going to go to my gateway hub. Now I'm going to see here that in Chrome you cannot really access this anymore due to the security features and issues with the browser. So as you can see, I don't have many options to do anything about it here. So what I'm going to do is, what I recommend is, resetting the router. If that doesn't work, you can also use another browser like Firefox. So Firefox instantly works, as you can see here. And I'm going to try another browser in case it does not work for some of you. You can try Edge. So here I'm going to use Edge. Yep, as you can see, it does not work. But then if you click Advanced, and then if you click on Connect to the device, continue to the website, it will let you continue, even though it's telling you it's not secure. Now rest assured it's secure, but it's just them trying to warn you and trying to tell you that maybe you're going to an insecure site because of the behavior of the site. Now let me enter my password and get to what we need to do and go over. So here with the main homepage, as you can see here, you can see my local IP and all that other details in here, but we're not going to go over that today. We're going to go over all the other usual settings. So make sure you don't have data on, make sure this is set to on, so that's your data, and this will just give you internet access. All the other settings is not really that important. You just want to make sure your internet is set to auto. By default it is, but if not, that can cause some issues as well. Right, so then you want to go ahead and go to somewhere else here, which is the other settings. Now just make sure they're default or set to auto. If not, you can always reset the router to the factory settings by pressing and holding the button on the bottom of the router physically, or if not, you can always do it in the software as well. I'll show you that in a second. But if you want to have guest Wi-Fi or have guests in your house, you can change the Wi-Fi and have a different name, etc., and list the amount of times, how much, like for instance 4 hours, 1 day, etc. But we don't want to cover that today. Now these are obviously your devices that are connected to your network right now. You may not see all of them, they're blurred, so yeah. You can go to the tools section here. We have a couple of tools that are really interesting that I wanted to talk about, but none of them is going to help you really fix your internet at this point, so that's that really. This is just statistics. It will tell you how long your Wi-Fi has been on, how much data you've been using, how much you've used, etc. So it's really just that, and it's nothing too fancy, but it's pretty good though, having a look at it still. Anyways, you can see that I've used quite a lot actually of data, so it's something you can consider if you're on a limited amount of data. Now let's go to the Wi-Fi settings. So as you can see here, this should be left on auto really, unless you really want to change it and have 2 separate networks, etc., or you want to change some other stuff in the 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. You can change the channels, etc., if you're having some issues, like 5 maybe on one of them and like 11 on the other one, maybe, just to avoid issues. Anyways, so this is the security settings. As you can see, they are both on PSK and BPA2, which is the most secure, I guess, in terms of Wi-Fi currently we have. Now you can do MAC and rest filtering and all the other stuff that I'm going to show you here, as you can see, but there's no real point to that, because unless you want to actually filter devices through your network, so block or whitelist them, etc., or allow them, then you can do that on there. And now we're going to go with the WPS button and all the other settings on here. So you can see it's set on, so that means if someone presses and holds the button on the router physically, they'll be able to connect to it and etc. But it's not really something we can consider that now. Let's check here. So we might want to check for updates. You might have some updates to update to, so if you do, you want to update that and go ahead. DHCP, make sure this is enabled if you're using a computer, of course. It just means that your connection will it's a dynamic host config anyways. So what this will do basically is make sure your devices are all connected to the server, to the same server anyways. DNS is not really important in this case, at least. VPN you can use on this router, by the way, LP2 and all the other one as well. well, but it's not OpenVPN, so I would not recommend this unless you have those type of VPN providers, which is very rare to find, although it does work. I've tested this. So anyways, you want to make sure you have all the latest firewall settings, and these are all, they should match your settings like this. Now if you want to go to the next tab here, as you can see, MAC address filtering, we don't need to do anything in that. Let's leave that. IP filter is also something you can mess with if you're having some issues with certain devices, but I'm not going to change any of that because we're fine here. Virtual server, you can set up actually virtual server page access now for storage purposes or whatever purposes you may want to set up one, but I'm not going to do that. This is just for test, so I'm just going to show you all the functions what you have available here. But yeah, to be honest with you, it's pretty cool, but we don't want to set one up yet. We just need to put all the ports and all that details if you do want to set it up. Right, now moving to the so here, as you can see, we have some special applications which you may want to run. For instance, WhatsApp, gaming servers, etc. You can go ahead and do that, but we don't want to go with that either. DMZ is something you can turn on as well. We're just going to leave ours how it is and basically skip ahead to the next section. Now this, I just recommend putting it on. It just lets you connect to the devices, and it's more helpful putting all the devices connected together. Anyways, so enough of that. This is actually recommended that you turn it on, however it may be not working for some devices, so that's what they're just telling you right now. Okay, anyways, if you go over to the next tab right here, as you can see, we've got our NAT settings. Now the NAT settings is really important. If you want to have it on dynamic, what it does is just it's more secure actually in terms of a secure network, but only fewer devices can access this, as basically all the latest devices basically that have high security will be able to access this. Now previously, all the other devices that don't have much security or as advanced security may not have or may not be compatible with this, so you just want to keep it to the way I have it here, static anyways. So here, as you can see, you want to pay attention to the values over here. The SINR value, 5G, this is really important, and the RSP value. Now these values represent a specific value of margin. I'll show you that in here. So basically anything 20 or closest to 20 for the SINR, and RSP is closest to 80, so that's minus 80 by the way. Anything lower than minus 80 is great as well, but usually it's around minus 80, so that's pretty good for speed. Now SINR is just more like a signal reduction kind of, so it's just an indicator to let you know like how good your signal really is. That's what it is really. So if you have some issues, of course you can go here and reset the router or restart it. If you have temporary issues, I recommend restarting it first, and then if that doesn't work, reset it to factory. If that doesn't work, then follow all the steps again and make sure you've covered everything what you can. If that doesn't work, just go ahead and phone 3 as well, and then let them know. They'll be able to guide you as well. Anyways, it's the time settings. You can set this up. So for whitelist people, etc., to have it set up and certain times, do this, do that, etc. Or there's even settings for the indicators to be on at certain times, so it doesn't affect your sleeping patterns, etc. And mine's really actually on usually all the time, but these are the time zone settings now, so you can set your time zone accordingly to find your own time. For instance, you might be somewhere else and this is already in a different time zone, so the fact that you can change this from your network and all the devices that are running the time off network can actually take advantage of that. That's pretty cool. Yes, and you can enable LAN and all the other login here, so I'll show you. And this is the indication that I was talking about earlier, so you can turn the indication off and on at what time you want to set it off basically, and that will just turn the indicators light off on the router, but I want to keep it on, so I'm just gonna make sure that this is off so it doesn't turn like off at times, if that makes sense. Yeah, anyways, let's go over to the antennas. I'll show you. So one's on the top, one's on the bottom. These are both internal antennas. You can attach in external ones, and you can even mix them, so have one external, one internal, etc. But I just recommend using the internal ones, at least for now, unless you have a really poor connection inside and you have a external antenna. Now you can see all the devices here, and I'm not going to show you too much there, and that's basically it. And you can see here 5G and 4G, which means we're getting both, and as you can see we're getting the upload speed and download speed. Of 5G and 4G here, and on the right here you can see the devices connected to it, and the 2.4 and 5.8 gigahertz Wi-Fi connected, and the amount of devices connected as well. If you made it this far into the video, please like, subscribe and share so more people can see this video. Thank you. Peace.